Thank you.
All right, my friends, it's great to see all of you. Again, all of our friends here in person. You could say hi to everyone who's here on the Zoom. We got some people here as well. It's like Deanna, Joe, Laura, Jody, Marina, Oliver. Okay, good. Very nice. All right, so as a continuation of our shir from last time, remember we were talking about is it mutter, was it permissible to listen to music? And we talked about it during Sphira, during the 3 weeks, and in general, is it mutter to listen to music? So that wasn't so simple what the answer to the question was. So now we're going to deal with an ancillary question that seems to all be related as part of this topic. If you look at the beginning of the source sheet, those who have it, so under the first source, it says Igros Moshe in the italics, B'dvar. Anyone want to try reading that one? Very good, Abby. Yes, tape recorder. I plan on at some point doing, I think I told you, like a Jeopardy style transliteration trivia night. So, mark all these down. You might know some of the answers when we get around to it. So Shanishma Mimenu Psukim Ubrachos B'Shemos. So here's the issue. I remember, anyone ever watched The Prince of Egypt? So if you remember, there's a part where they're crossing the sea and they start singing Az Yashir. And they actually say to Hashem, they say Hashem's name. And I was like, felt very uncomfortable playing that because, I guess technically if you're singing as shirs with tishbachos, as songs, praise to God, arguably it's not invoking God's name in vain, but I felt uncomfortable, like in the sense of a movie having that play. So that bothered me as a kid. I've watched The Prince of Egypt a few times since then, and I keep coming back to the same question. I mean, happens to be not my favorite song in the movie, so I usually will skip over that. I can skip over that. I think the best song, in my opinion, is there's the opening scene, of course, the Deliver Us song. They actually got an Israeli singer for that. I think Ofra Haza was her name, right? Is she the one who sang your? No, that was I don't know. She's well known apparently. Okay, you could all corroborate that. Okay, as you know, it's my genre is more in like the British American classic rock kind of scene, but. So then the other song that was really good, I thought, was with the 10 Plagues, and then there's you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the 10 Plagues one, and then there's the one I like the one where he comes in with the snake and he confronts Pharaoh's priest. That was a fun one also. Okay, you know what? Apparently we'll have to schedule this. Lee put on the adult ed agenda for movie nights. Movie night at the shul, everybody. We'll get popcorn and everything. We'll watch The Prince of Egypt. I'm not the first one to think of doing this, but then you give a shir on like, okay, well, what did they get right? What did they get wrong? We're gonna take literary license, so that should be fun. Yeah, we could do that.
Commandments with Charlton Heston is more my speed.
Oh, that's the original? Yeah. No, well, there's a black and white original. There's a bunch of originals. Yeah. So let's see what Moshe Feinstein has to say about this. But that our tape recording Nishulav Iza Mizmor Im Shemos Ubrachos. So if it has God's name, it has brachos on it. Are you allowed to play it? Just like we asked. So he answers, my humble opinion, I don't see any issue over here. Because the issue invoking God's name or blessing in vain, that's only when one is invoking it with their mouth, as a human being does. But not through inanimate objects, literally through wood and stone. That would not be a transgression of invoking God's name in vain, since it did not come through my mouth. So that's not so clear. I mean, the fact that he had to suggest that. Okay, you're giving me a quizzical look. What do you think? But no.
If you're invoking God's name, you have to actually say it. Come on, like stones don't say God's name.
Well, that's his point. Right, so you're in agreement with Ramosha. Okay, somebody wants to raise a can. Well, we'll get to reception history next class. Yeah.
The question is that maybe I'm going a step ahead. Are you allowed to erase that?
Very good.
Saying it's not a peeve, it's not a problem.
Excellent question. So that will be at the end of the tshuva. We'll get to it in 2 minutes, hopefully. It's still on page 1, so don't worry, you didn't take us too far ahead. But right, the question is, can you record it? And then can you unrecord it? Can you erase it? Exactly. So, but there's a few related questions here. Tape recorder, naki. But with the caveat that if you're playing something and you hear God's name, it has to be in a place that is generally clean. There's a general prohibition that one is not allowed to, read Torah when one is in the bathroom. So that's what everyone always said. Well, not everyone, but they like to say when I was growing up, said, "Oh, so if the Rambam learned all these sciences and metaphysics and this and that, so we see clearly Rabbi Norman Lamb was right about Torah Mada." And so then they say, no, the Rambam learned that when he was in the bathroom. I say it about the Vilna Gaon also. But you know what my horror was? Sorry if this gets a little too graphic. If you remember, Rambam has this whole, explanations on keeping a proper diet and proper health. So if Rambam kept to his own rules, he wouldn't have been in there long enough that he would actually have time to read all of the sciences. That's yeah, exactly. So sorry about that, but that was my retort back. So anyway, and once we're talking about this, and then we'll get to newspapers in a future year. But there's this classic thing my dad told me when he was growing up, and went to I think Yeshiva for Rockaway it was. So they said to him, they always ask, can you bring the Jewish press into the bathroom? The response was, the shayla is, can you take it out of the bathroom? And then I remember my Rebbe in 9th grade said, Moshe, if one day you're just a val of us and the worst thing you have in your home is a Jewish press, I'll be happy. So, Rahman al-Islam, we have the Wall Street Journal now. But honestly, it could get a lot worse than the Wall Street Journal. So I think all things considered, he showed up to my wedding, so it wasn't too bad. Maybe he wanted to make sure everything was kosher. I don't know. All right. So next source. Sorry, no, it's the next paragraph. Aser lecharchia lasus recorder mi psukim b'shvil shmua hanigel etzai mitzad iser. Doseh pasuk min zemer. Remember last time we learned the Gemara, that the Gemara told us that the Torah is chogeres sak. It comes before a Kadosh Baruch Hu wearing sackcloth, and it says, Hashem, Asuni banech kir shemag v'leitzim. Your children are using me like a toy, like an instrument to have fun with, to play with. The Torah is not created for our own entertainment. Where the Torah is something sacred. It's something holy. It's something reserved that should be hallowed. It is hallowed. So how is it possible that we can use it for our own entertainment purposes? So Moshe says, everything I just said out loud comes to the Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Aleph. Moreover, who owed Maisalate Sanas Mikol Shekain. So is this a form of degrading the dignity of the Torah by recording it onto a device? He says, however, look, if the point is, I remember, now I'm really dating myself. I remember I was very excited to get an iPod Nano. Does anyone remember those days? Back when they were set, you had a phone and you had an iPod separately. Yeah. So, so I had an iPod Nano. I was very excited about that. So I went up to camp that summer, and my father uploaded his recordings of laning so I could practice Parsha Shoftim while I was in camp. So I remember, listening to that and practicing and a meeting with the tutor. And I still remember some years later when I was then post high school and I was in the Moshe Beit Midrash program for a summer. I'm like, I haven't learned Haftorah in quite a while. I should probably get back into that. And I found my father's recording and I was able to re-listen to it again and relearn the trup. And I guess we should all be thankful, because that's why, even though I butchered the laning for 3 Elios on Shabbos, sorry, Rabbi Wiener again. But I wouldn't have been able to even butcher that much if I, maybe would have been more grateful. So because of that experience. Anyway, so this is, basically, point being is, insert iPod, insert phone, insert whatever device in place of tape recorder. So even though it sounds a little dated, insert whatever recording device you want. So he says, if it's being used for educational purposes, that's not going to degrade the dignity of the Torah. But if it's used for entertainment purposes, so you can listen to a Jewish pop song or something, then we have a bit of a shayla, a bit of a question over here. And now, Lee, we come to your question. We talked about getting it onto the device. What if I say, I have an iPod Nano and it has how many gigabytes did the iPod Nano have? 2 gig or so? 2 gigs or something. There's nothing. There's no
nothing.
But I remember you had to buy. But I remember you had to buy. It was 99 cents back in the day for a song on iTunes.
Oh yeah. So
now it's more now, or no? I thought it went up like with soda bottles, you know, and it went to $1.25.
Stuff's $1.25, $1.50. No.
Yeah, so I mean now I'm just like, I don't know, I'll just like go on YouTube or something and stream it or something if I really need. But right, so it's 2 gigabytes. Maybe if you paid more money, I think you get 4 gigabytes or 8, very chashuv. So now you need to make room on the device, right? I'm like, all right, Dad, my bar mitzvah's over. I don't need all of your kama v'azlas and everything to practice anymore. So what do? I delete it from the device. But wait, those recordings, don't they have the Shem Hashem? I don't know who's calling the office at this ungodly hour, but maybe they're trying to tune into the shir. I'm not quite sure. But so am I allowed to delete it from the device? Well, davar limchok lichtov davar achir. What if I want to overwrite the memory with something else? Ashlo yaduali iser barer kein shame osios. Even though now here's the thing, right? We're probably wondering, yeah, David, you want to.
Right, it's not written out. The prohibition is to erase the letters.
Very good. So what is it? Like zeros and ones or something? Unless you're using quantum computing, then it's a whole other level of chachma that's already far beyond my understanding. But right, all you're doing is you're basically switching zeros. Oh wait, Mayor, you know computers also, right?
Zeros and ones.
Zeros. Okay, everyone confirm. Okay, good. Zeros and ones. The matrix. Oh, we were just talking about the matrix. Oh, here you go. Toro Mada. Oh, right, because I remember there's like a point where he's looking through everything and he just sees all the zeros and ones flying over there. Oh, beautiful. See, there you go. There's our Torah Umada tie-in for the night. As my Rabbi Gigi Schachter always likes to say, L'kayim Hashanemar Torah Umada. He like sometimes as a joke, put on a perfunctory secular source to be Yotze having Torah and secular wisdom. All right. Was there a question or?
No. We're laughing at the words to come.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's good because I didn't actually know what one of these words was. So you guys, good. So you're gonna, you see, umitamidai yoser mikulam. I want to say students, but I mean, this is why I come also. Okay, so what are they laughing about? We'll get there.
That's right.
Right. Yes. Right. Zeros and ones. Right.
All over the place, and when we erase, and they can erase it.
But we're about to get to a device that's not so simple. So
Electrical impulses, basically.
right. So okay. So let's read the next paragraph because this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. Right. Actually, a dually iser bar. So here's where Moshe says, okay, I don't think there's an actual prohibition. So he says, right, there's no real letters over here. See, I wasn't even testing you. I actually like tried Googling. I don't know. What is it? What is it actually?
An old record player.
Victrola is a manual a record
Yeah,
player.
it's
that
an old
uses
record
no
player.
electricity.
With no electricity?
No electricity.
Oh, that you crank it up? Oh, I know I'm gonna send her. I was like, oh, I see that in the movies. Oh my gosh, really? Oh my gosh.
Fully manual. It's- Even the sound coming out of the device is mechanical.
Wait, so Abby, one more time. What's it called again? Victrola. How do you spell that?
C.A. Victor.
Victor?
So that is the Victrola. They called it a
The
Victrola.
name of the model is the Victrola.
Someone shut off the air battery. I'm getting dust all over it.
For a while, the dog sitting next to the.
It's a brand.
I'm gonna just turn off the air for a moment.
You still have it?
So did you learn where the expression "put a sock in it" comes from?
How's that where it comes from?
But it's not in that horn.
They have a horn, and if you want, you didn't have the horn, you didn't have a volume control. On the very old controllers, there was no, so the needle touched it and the horn
It
amplified it.
depends. So the model I have, it has the doors on it. And if you open up the doors all the way, it's louder.
Yes, that was
If you close it a little lower, it's a little.
Right, exactly.
If you ever go to Dover, Delaware, there was a phenomenal Victrola museum. There was a doctor tremendous collection, multiple floors. You'll learn all about Victrolas.
And there's a little dog.
Question here.
Yeah.
In fact, you're saying that you're only deleting zeros and ones,
Yeah.
right? If someone sends you a PDF,
PDF.
let's say the Haftarah,
Ooh, that's a good question.
and then you're done.
On your screen. What if like on your screen, you're actually erasing it yourself?
Right, you're scrolling.
So this comes up actually. Rav Moshe Sternbach has a tshuva, which he elaborates on it because basically there's Sefer Torah software which basically, because right, because over here, like what in his mind, like what from person would use a screen, a technology to in the computer in the first place. So that's what I love. I love sometimes the framing of the tshuva tells you a lot also. So the question was that they have special hardware and software that could check Sifrei Torah for mistakes in them. And then they'll have a human look over it as well. But like this is before AI even came along. So there he deals with the question of erasing it from the screen. I mean, this is something that happens with me all the time. I mean, the thing is, I try not to type out Hashem's name. But let's say I'm making a source sheet, and I take something off the Bar Ilan search, and then I want to kind of like, oh wow, that's like a lot of text over there, and it's psukim in there. So then I want to erase the psukim. So it depends. It doesn't most of them don't actually have the real Shem Hashem in it. Some of them will have the Yud Yud, which we'll actually get to in a future tshuva in a moment. So okay, so we have our one more time, Abby. Victrola. Oh, I see now. Okay. So he says, "Af sheyesham eza be'en nami ein osios ve'ein shum chashiva sheyusham." So apparently on this Victrola, there's Victrola there. Whatever. I'm just never. Because I gave a share one time. This is coming out as a future share on Wagra. So one of the women who attended the shir when I gave it the first time always corrected me and said I can never pronounce it correctly. So whatever it is, I don't speak French, but I say Les Miserables. That's it, but that's probably not real French. So apparently there is the imprint of actual letters on there. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. You could actually see the faded letters on the Victrola. So I don't know. That's what he says over here. He says be'en. There's something there. It was imprinted? Yeah.
And it's in the grooves.
Ah.
He took a microscope, the bumps up and down.
No, that's what he means.
The needle bounces up and down the waveform, and then that gets amplified. So there is, if one could identify, in fact, they do that today. They use laser beams to read the records, very old, delicate ones. So the pattern is there with the sound.
But it's a pattern, not.
It's a pattern.
Got it.
To say the letters per se.
This is good. This is why. This is good.
It's not text to speech that you have to.
Right. This is why I come to share, guys. Okay. This is why I'm here also. I came to find out the answers, what a Victrola is, or how to even pronounce it. Okay, good. So we're all learning, Baruch Hashem. So he says, So he says, look, it's probably not a violation, but it's better not to if you don't have to, which, okay, that's, it's like sometimes you read those art scroll halacha books, and every time you actually finally get to the shiloh that you have, it says consult your local Orthodox rabbi kind of thing. It's like, well, what? That's why I bought the book. Anyway, oh, this is interesting, actually. All these questions about Siri and, smart homes and stuff. It sounds like that's what he's actually describing over here. Shebedibor nasa malacha, that you could command with your voice and it'll do something. Now, this is dated to Tushin Yud Zayin, so we're talking like 1957 over here. So I don't know what he's thinking of over here at this point.
I don't think they even had that clap on, clap off thing.
I remember clap on, clap off. Oh my gosh, jingle's still in my head. Yeah, but he says also v'chein b'masha shebetzelo shenofel on mechuna kazo. So he says also if you're shouting, so this is like motion sensors he's talking about as well. So I don't know, do they have motion sensor technology? But what? Yeah. What's photo electric? Okay.
Photoelectric, yes, that's true.
That's motion sensor?
Yes.
Any sensor that senses light.
Right, exactly. So it's the absence of light it senses, and then right. So okay, so he's already talking about motion sensors. So he says, it's certainly for him to do this on Shabbos and Yantiv, which leads to the classic question of, wait a minute, I'm leaving shul on Friday night, and it's already getting dark, and the sidewalk is only one side of the street, or both sides of the street. I walk by someone's house, and the light's going to turn on in their driveway, and there's no way to avoid it unless I want to go middle of the street, and that's a kind of nefashos. I'm putting my life in danger. So that's not a good idea either. So what am I supposed to do? So I don't. Okay, well, yeah, right. But this new guys, new chumrah just dropped, new stringency. Usher to go to shul on Friday nights because on your way back you'll be activating a light. That's like a real, okay, it's like a mono-orthodox chumrah right there. So what's the answer to it? So the answer, there's a whole discussion about you're not intending it, but it's a psik ratio. It's certainly going to happen. So I think it's the Shevet Halevi, Rav Wosner, another 20th century posek. He, I think, suggests that me walking by that camera, there's no connection. Meaning in halacha, if I picked up this shtender and there's no air and I walk with it, I have done an act vis-a-vis this shtender. But me walking by that motion detector, it's all the way over there. In halacha, I did not commit an action vis-a-vis that sensor. The sensor is doing what the sensor does, but I did not do a significant action vis-a-vis that. So that's not the normative understanding, but it's like one of those kulas that if you have no other choice, and otherwise you're just going to be basically stranded between shul and home all Shabbos. So that's a sheet that we keep in our back pocket, right? There's a lot of sheetas that we don't use lechatchila ideally, but we use it in our back pocket. A good example is in Kriyas Torah when it comes to the Rambam holds that you can use a puzzle Sefer Torah for Torah reading. It would still be okay to use. Now, obviously, we try to make sure that our Sefer Torah kosher because him and like only like one other person or something, I think, say that. But it comes in handy because let's say we're middle Torah reading and we see that there's a letter written in a weird way. So we already have a suffix, we have a doubt. Is it written okay? Is it not okay? And then you can combine it with the Rambam who says, well, maybe, and even if it's not okay, it still is okay to use the Torah. So you have what's called a sveka, double doubt. So that Rambam could come in handy, especially when like on the spot and the thing is sometimes you call a kid up and if the kid can recognize the letter, that's what determines if it's written properly or not. So that's why it's a good idea to keep the kids in youth groups. That way we'll never get an answer and we can just keep on laning. It's right, good. See, new policy just dropped. New chumras, guys. You walk away a lot of chumras tonight. Okay, final. So that was the final part. Shuva apolom iskavinu psik reisha aser. Okay, so that is the main shuva, my friends. And you raised many of the fundamental questions along the way. Now let's just cover a little bit more ground here. There was a follow-up shuva. This was 1957. There is a follow-up shuva only a few years later, which is printed in the second volume of Yoredea and Igros Moshe. This is the second source on page 1. I decided rather than rush through packets and then not cover all the material that we wanted to, I thought, Baruch Hashem, I think we will have a lot of sessions to learn together. So I decided this will be a 2 or we'll see if it's a 3-part one. So next source, it looks very similar. Inyan tape recorder, lahashmiya brachos upsukim. So again, about tape recorders and can you play brachos and verses from the Torah on them? So this is clearly a follow-up to the previous tshuva. The first paragraph, he kind of rehashes what we saw. I'll read the bold. He reiterates the same point from the first tshuva, that this could only be violated, invoking God's name in vain, could only be violated if I do it with my own mouth as a human being, not via an inanimate object.
What do you need?
In the next paragraph, though, he elaborates
What do you
on
need?
the idea of using the Torah as an
What?
instrument for our own entertainment purposes. So you write, sorry, just a lot of noise coming from somewhere. I'm just going to...
Hold on.
Let me just do it.
Rabbi, this.
Oh, whoops. Sorry. Unmute yourself, Joe. Joe, just unmute your microphone. Should be able to. Joe, you're muted. Again, I don't know if he hears me. I think I accidentally muted him. Joe, you're good for a second there. All right, when you figure out how to mute,
Somebody is at the door.
Oh, okay. See, Joe, even when he's not here, he's here.
Joe is everywhere.
Yes, omnipresent, exactly.
Somebody's trying to come in.
Oh yeah, Bob's on the way to get him in.
Okay, all right.
I realized I was about to let him in, and I realized I have the air conditioning controller. I didn't want to take the other one. Okay, next paragraph. He's welcome to join the shir if he wants. Remember we talked about the idea of using the Torah as an instrument? So number one, there's an issue of initially recording it onto the device. And number two, v'chein kishamidu acher kach lahashmiya, and moreover, afterwards, when you listen to it post facto, hareu kimin zemer, zaru maisa adam amachuyav beisurin. So this is also going to be an issue, the recording and the listening. The afshir she'isur demin zimmer du gam al brachos, the gamim divrei Torah, and look what he says here. There's a question in the Gemara. Does it just refer to shirim, or does it just refer? Thank you. Does it just refer to shirim, or does it just refer, or does it refer to all of the Torah? Ramosha takes it a step further and says not only does it refer to all the Torah, but it refers to brachos and even Torah Shebal Peh, Divrei Torah Shebal Peh, the oral Torah as well. Even lines from the Gemara, from the Talmud, it would be in violation of this Isser as well. So then go to the last paragraph on the page. The Avshir Kevishal Kol Panim Ha'adam Ba'atzo Ina Mezamer Leika Isser Za'ashadam Garma Zishyak Ein Zemar De Akliya tape recorder. But again, same mitigating factor. Maybe since I'm not the one who's doing the singing, maybe since it's the tape recorder which is playing it, I'm not in violation of this Isser. Which one might ask, wait a minute, isn't the tape recorder an instrument too? So v'chein, the next page, v'chein apador shel fanenu, b'hatablaos, shakoran recorders. I don't need to translate recorders, right? Shahayu inyane negina. So we're playing all these kind of instruments. Gam sukum umashmiim be a gramophone.
That's a regular phonograph player.
Yeah, there you go. You see?
That's the generic name for it.
Yes, gramophone comes up a few times in the Igros Moshe.
In English, called.
So Ramosha notes, it seems that the rabbis of our generation have not protested and objected to this. Now this is what he says. We see that common practice is that people will sing brachos and psukim when there is a simcha taking place, a celebration. Even those who are generally very scrupulous when it comes to halacha, even though the Gemara is explicitly against it, and I don't have a good justification for this.
Is this to say with God's name or even without God's name?
Yeah, it sounds like even without God's name. And this is, by the way, consistent. By the way, sounds consistent with Ramosha, what we saw in the previous year. Remember, Ramosha says maybe music nowadays is forbidden in general, at least post Beis HaMikdash. According to this reasoning, might even be us or even during the Beis HaMikdash for our own entertainment. But yeah, what was the question?
Oh, no, I was just curious if it meant if we're still talking about saying the Shem Hashem Levatala, or if we're talking about in general just all of Jewish music.
Yeah, so this is an additional issue, right? So Garrett, I'm glad you're helping me clarify this. There's one issue, which is the issue of invoking God's name in vain. Separate issue is misappropriating Torah literature for our gratification. Now, of course, one will say learning Torah is a gratifying experience. That's because the actual learning of Torah, I hope we find to be a gratifying experience. But to then all of a sudden, imagine I wanted to make a song. I take out my guitar and say, like just for so I can have a concert. So then it's a good question.
If someone put Megillat Esther, which does not have the Shem Hashem to it, and made it into like an entertainment type of thing, that's not good.
That would seem well. You're saying not for laning, just so we could have like a Chol Moed concert.
Yeah.
So according to this, it would be a problem. And that's he says in the next paragraph.
And that has no Shem Hashem in it.
Oh, very good. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I said Megillat Esther.
I see what you're saying. Very good point. Now, here's the thing. In the next paragraph, he notes that some would like to limit that whole Gemara just to the Song of Songs, just to Shir Hashirim. Maybe because, of the more adult, right? Remember before the Shir, we were talking about how nowadays you could just, everything is, that which was rated R is now rated G, essentially. You go on PBS and there's all sorts of things that are on there these days. Like I think I could put on the PBS app for Talia's, usually she gets home from camp and we give her like 25 minutes of TV that she can watch just to unwind. And then that way we can unwind also. So, I put on the PBS app and I think everything could be fine. And then all of a sudden she gets on there and And yeah, there's it's well, okay. I get in trouble. Yeah, I have to explain to her why they're two dads. And okay, anyway, so moving, yeah. So it's like Danny Tiger or whatever. So now okay, even Arthur they've actually so yeah. So okay, so even Arthur, yeah. So I only show her the Arthur if it has the older animation from the 90s, so or early 2000s. So then the newer animation, I start getting worried. They had a perfunctory Jewish episode on there. I think it's when Francine over there, she's Jewish and she tries fasting.
Like she has she's going bowling. There's a bowling competition where they need her because she's like the ace of the team.
Oh,
And one of her relatives has a bar mitzvah and she's
Yes.
running back and
She's a little
forth
dirty.
because she's constantly changing her outfit.
yes,
I remember
yes.
that one clearly.
That was the original, and then they did another one and the newer one where Francine they have Yom Kippur, which they never pronounce it right. It's always Yom Kippur. It's not Yom Kippur. It's Yom Kippur. You know, so I don't know where people got Yom from. It's not like the waters of. It's like the waters of atonement or something. Oh, which by the way, I'm very excited. I made like a flyer. I was I was like, this is what I do at the end of the day. Like kind of like after I go home and after we hopefully I try to do dishes somewhat, and then I'm on the couch and my laptop. I'm like, all right, well, time to make another flyer for the shul, just for fun. So I already made the Tashlich flyer. So it has like water and a palm tree or something. There's no palm trees at Tashlich. Oh, but by the way, this year, Marissa and I decided that we would host Tashlich by us in the lakes. And we'll put some ices out, and that way, it'll be before Mincha. That way, more people could come, and then we'll do a shiur between Mincha Marav instead. So I thought that'd be a nicer approach. If people still want to go between Mincha Marav down to the Rose Garden, I won't hold anything against you. It's okay. I hope that's. I ran it by a few people, the executives, so hopefully that's okay. But anyway, yes, I don't know how I got to the flyers and all that, but okay, back to our feature presentation. So what's the issue though? If you look at the bolded words, his main contention is. It should not be l'tainug ba'alma. And this is a question, by the way, when we go to shul and we daven, and on Shabbos and Yontif, we have all these tunes that we use. The question is, who is it serving? Is it serving me or is it serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And this is a question, that we have to think about sometimes. So that I don't always have an easy answer to the question. But Rabbi Wiener, looks like you have something to say. Oh no. Okay, Sheval Taisa Adif. Okay. Going to the end of the Shuva, he says again, but at the end of the day, as long as you're doing it in a place that's mutter to think about Torah, nowhere dirty. And then the last part I want to get to, which is really our springboard to our last section for this evening. I don't know how far through it we'll get necessarily. Is with Davar Mechika, Kevan She'ein Sham Osios Lo Shemosios Lo Shaykh Iser Mechika. So he says that in the end of the day, if they're going back to the question of erasing letters, right? So we're talking about music. Now back to the question of erasing letters. He returns back to that. He says erasing God's name would not be an issue here because there's no actual name of God. It is something that's repugnant. So therefore, let's say I need to erase the Haftorah of Hafshoftim on my iPod Nano because I need to make space. Yesh lasos ayede grama. One should do it in an indirect manner. To ain iser me etzem hadim because that way through grama there's no actual violation taking place over here. Now, even though you wouldn't erase Hashem's name on a piece of paper in an indirect manner, if one can find a way to indirectly erase God's name, I'm not sure what it looks like. I hit a domino, and then the domino hits the mouse and then erases it.
Put in the recycle bin, and then 60 days.
That's very clever. Oh, that's very clever. Because I had this issue that I uploaded some recordings to Google Drive, and then I realized I hit my 15 gigabyte limit. So then I put in the garbage and I deleted it. And I'm like, why do I still have over 15 gigabytes? And then I looked it up. And I'm like, oh wait, it's still going to be in my trash for another 30 to 60 days. So that's a very clever suggestion. Right? Oh, so you erase it from the recycle bin, or you put it in the recycle bin, and then it erases on its own. So that's a grama. Oh, I love it.
Absolutely nothing to it.
Right.
Allowing it to be written over.
Yes.
Yeah, not erasing a thing.
So even according to our emotion, we would satisfy it. That's clever. Very clever.
You're moving the pointer. The data is still there.
Right.
Until it gets overwritten.
Exactly. Like, what are you actually doing on it? The whole thing you're saying is a grama from the, well, this gets into the lumdus of how to define what a grama is. So for instance, if Reuven takes a gun and shoots Shimon, you want to say, well, the hammer had to hit the cartridge, it had to send a spark off, which had to ignite the gunpowder, which had to create a chemical reaction to pressure to force out the bullet. That's a direct action. So the question is, what do we call direct and indirect? This is the discussion that takes place in the yeshivas, over the course of his man. But yeah, Harry.
So I have a related point, and that is that, like, in the computer world or even the iPod world, to your example, you're deciding, you know what, I don't need to share my iPod right now. I'm not racing it, but I don't need it on there right now because I need space for something else, like what you said. So I'll just keep it in my library. So it's questionable whether you're racing anything at that point.
Oh, like in your Apple library, it's in the cloud there.
You're not really racing it. It's just you're telling your device you have in front of you that you don't really need to.
You're erasing a
Well, I think
copy of it. You on your iPod was a copy.
That's correct.
So that you have a second copy somewhere else is nice.
Well,
the issue is
So
not.
it's
the truth is all matter is conserved anyway in the end of the day, unless it goes into a black hole and then there's a whole tsarachin over there. But conservation of matter, so nothing is ever truly erased, right? Yeah.
Say underlying all this in back of our minds should be the comments we have about writing a Sefer Torah.
Yeah.
We know what writing really is,
Mhm.
and we're not really flexible about it. We know
Mhm.
exactly what it is.
Mhm.
We know what the ink is. We know what the.
All right, well.
All this stuff is secondary, important. Just about that, but it's different.
All right, well, you're forcing me to do this. This is last page. All right, everyone, we'll conclude with this for tonight then. Rabbi Wiener raised an excellent point. Wait a minute. Don't we already have a paradigm in halacha that gives us parameters for what is called writing? We have laws of writing in Torah, and we have the laws in Hilchos Shabbos, right? There's an Isser, a prohibition of kosef, of writing on Shabbos. So I might think to myself, why don't I just look in Hilchos Shabbos, look at the laws of Shabbos, see what the parameters are for what is defined as writing there, and then I could extrapolate it to our question and call it a day. So take a look at it. This was a footnote, an endnote I put on here. I wasn't planning on addressing it, but it's like I grew up playing video games. You unlock the bonus level. So look at page 8, last page, and this is Os Gimel. It starts in the bottom of the right column. Matsasi. Oh, sorry, that's me writing over there. I wrote over there that I found something interesting. Then italics. Sorry, I was about to read myself. That would be self-aggrandizing. Look at the italics on the top of the next column. But what's the next word, guys? Very good. Photography. Yes, we got a lot of fun. Photography. Photography. But you got to say with the New York accent, photography. Photographer. Ian usually is like a segal, so you gotta say like a New Yorker, photographer, like that. There you go. Shapasal eksiva stam, say right. So that's very like Sefer Torah, mezuzahs, right? So tefillin, mezuzahs. So mikol makom, hivale malach b'Shabbos. So it's certainly going to be a malach on Shabbos. So to be hakar, let's see. Okay, so get to the bold. Okay, here we go. When it comes to Shabbos, the definition is whatever performance of malacha of writing, that is the normal way of writing. I'm just finding the right part to emphasize. Okay, here it is. He writes. This is, I bold and highlighted already. I knew exactly what I wanted ahead of time. The important, the operating principle for Shabbos is that it's done derech kesiva, in the manner that is normal to write. The kama dvarim nichtavim aidei haphotographe. Barov hatzvarim nitvasim ke'es aidei haphotographe. So right, the way we do things nowadays, we scan things in order to write them in svarim.
There's photo offsetting. Photo offsetting. They would typeset one page, then they would photograph it on a large film, which was then used to produce the plates.
Interesting. That's good.
Photo offsetting.
Yep.
But then
That's not considered writing.
but look over here. Ubixiva stam for Sifrei Torah, Tefillin, and Mezuzahs, lo shayach inyan malacha. It's a different set of rules than it is for Shabbos. El tzarasha adam yichtov. It needs to come directly from a person writing it. Velo sheyigrom shiuksuvin, and not just simply to cause it to be written. It's not just about the end result. So what's important over here is, I mean, look, he talks about you need dio, you need ink, there needs to be sirtut, there needs to be the indentation that's put into it, there needs to be written in order as well. So the point being here is that one might think, and this is the right way to think. The right way to think is well, if I have a question about what's called writing in halacha, and I know this has been hashed out in a different area of halacha, the most logical thing to do is to extrapolate those principles. But I think this tshuva I put here as a bonus because it's important because it addresses your question, which is we can't necessarily extrapolate those principles. In Hilchos Shabbos, many times think it's all about doing things in the normal manner, the derech ksiva, the normal way to write it. But and that's why, by the way, in Hilchos Shabbos, to do something with a shinoi, to do something in an abnormal way, is like, let's say I need a lush, kneading, making a thick pasty mixture is forbidden on Shabbos. But, if I need to make some sort of thicker mixture, one of the mitigating factors could be if I do it with a shinoi and crisscrosses in an abnormal manner. So that's because Shabbos is all about how is it normally performed? How is it done in the Mishnah? How is it done in the tabernacle? But in the area when it comes to writing a Torah is a different ballgame. There's a tighter set of parameters that define what is called writing for those purposes. So now coming to our question about erasing God's name, it's not so simple that we could just simply take the laws of Shabbos and then copy and paste them into our discussion over here. Does that address somewhat the question, or I didn't fully address it? Do tell.
And he says that even if they don't match up exactly, don't do it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it, right.
It's still not right to do it. It's still not.
Exactly. Now, let me, if I may, I'm just going to borrow 3 more. It's okay if I borrow 3 more minutes over here. Oh yeah.
So is that to say, okay, so when we're talking about stam, we're talking about like Sifrei Torah or those kind of just things.
Torah, Tefillin, and Mezuzahs.
Right, that we have defined.
It says so for stam. That's what it's talking about.
Right. So we have defined rules for what's considered writing, and then destroying that would be usher if it's written like that. But what if it's printed? Why would be destroying things that were printed?
I got a good question. Here's a
Because
great
it
question.
wasn't written, so you can't erase it.
Here's a great question. See these sheets over here we're using?
It's
Do they
still
even put
legible.
numbers? So that is a big question. Probably because Hashem's name is not in here, and I don't believe there are any psukim that are in here either, but I have to check. So the minhag in general seems to be to put them in Shaimos. But what?
Chabad used to, I don't know if they still do, but they used to send out calendars and print all sorts of matters.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this. Okay, now I have to give me the next source. Very good. Okay, good. Okay. And then now I'm sorry. Now I have to go 2 more sources because it's going to bring up your point, Marcia. It's a tshuva right here. Okay, so if I may, I'm just going to take a few minutes just to cover a little bit more ground before we call it a night, if that's all right. Os Daled, this is on page number 2. Okay, and then when we go forward again, I get to see we're going back to the future. So he says in Os Daled in the bold. So again, talking about erasing from a tape recorder. Again, he says you should not erase it, but I thought it was interesting, this formulation. Shenira la alma, it appears to, into the world like you are erasing, which is an interesting assumption because I just did an informal poll with all of you, my friends over here, and many of you seem to say that you do see a fundamental difference between them. So again, maybe there's a difference between the what was it called, that thing? The Victorola. Troll. Like, you know troll, right? Troll. I know. I'm just having fun. Sorry. The Victorola. Yes. And then look at the next source. The next verse, very briefly, is just we'll just gloss over this one, but just it's talking about removing luchos, not real luchos, but the luchos that are found on top of the aron, and if it has Hashem's name with 2 yuds, and there's a concern that maybe you'll separate them or break them in the process, he says, don't worry about it. They're not exactly Hashem's name. You're not definitely going to break them. And then he says, turn to page 3. Even if God's actual name was there, would not be an issue. Because again, there's our favorite word over there. This is going to be a theme. Maybe you're only indirectly erasing God's name. The grama shari, because we learned in Hilchos Shabbos that a grama on a biblical level, an indirect action, an indirect violation of Shabbos is only rabbinically prohibited, not biblically. See, here he is bringing in Hilchos Shabbos as an example, right? Isn't that interesting? Sometimes we are extrapolating from Hilchos Shabbos, sometimes we aren't. I guess interesting when we do and when we don't. But then the next one is Marsha's scenario. All right, I'll have to put it on the sheet next time. I'll say Marsha's scenario on it. So the case was that there was a yeshiva, I believe it was, that was fundraising, and they would send out a hadlakas neiros for Shabbos. It would send out basically some nice little tea lights, I guess it was, and then there'd be the bracha with the hiratzon, and I don't know what's on there, hineni muchan mazuman or something like that, right? You just get is there hineni muchan mazuman? I don't even remember if there is. Presumably there is one. Whole other shir about whether to say all those things beforehand, or whether it's even appropriate to say those things beforehand. If you ever see those before doing some mitzvos, it's a mystical / Hasidic institution. See, I know whenever I talk about mysticism, I see Rabbi Wiener and Lee get very excited. You guys are mikubalim on. That's what the brachos were, exactly. I think there's a note of Yehuda where he gets very upset about all this, if I recall correctly. So anyway, so look at the bold section here, Osavav, and we'll end off with this. Really, please hold me to this. Like cut the pull the plug out if I keep going. There are letters of Hebrew on there. Shaimos and it says Baruch Atah Hashem with 2 yuds. Kuf b'makom hey, and in Hashem's name, in Yukei Vav Kei, it has a kuf instead of a hey over there. And these things we know, even though they're not exactly God's name, they're pretty close to it, and we do not erase those unless it is necessary. So the concern is like many things I get in the mail, I throw them out right away, right? I'm like, oh, the penny saver. Who's a penny saver? You say, no, all right, throw out the penny saver. I throw out all the junk mail, like, oh, this yeshiva trying to fundraise, like, okay, and then bring it to the garbage, all right. Never heard of Machon Minchas Pinchas. So and he says, actually, it's kind of good because most places they're not going to get erased; they'll be burned. Next word, anyone know? Last transliteration of the night. Yeah, you almost got it. It's right before the word usrefa. It's highlighted. Mikol habatim ha. You got it. Wait, I heard it. Who said it? Very good. Garbages. That one is going to be a fun one for the trivia night. Garbages. Usrefa kila memechika. It's better to burn than to erase. So he says, worst case scenario, they go to the incinerator anyway. But then look at the bottom of mikol makom near lefini sheyesh limnoa mitzad acher. There's another reason to be concerned here. Sheish lachosh shaharbe anoshim v'noshim pshutim. There'll be many men and women who unwittingly yikru zeh b'pihem. They're going to read this kishe'ein srichim levarich when they don't need to make the bracha. The yirgma v'shlichusam lahem sheyivarchu bracha levatala. And right, maybe they'll make. I remember back when I was in Connecticut, there was an old age home that I go to every now and then. They wanted to do a special. They bring in different rabbis from the community to do it's like a mock Shabbos pre-Shabbos service, but it was well before Plag HaMincha. So it's too early to accept Shabbos, but they wanted you to do the brachos and everything. So I'd say, as I was doing it, because, I tried to say, and I always framed it. I said, and here we're going to have, it's not Shabbos yet. We're going to have a pre-Shabbos just to get into the spirit of things. And, and also, I mean, think about it, because if I actively made them be Makabel Shabbos, even if it was after Plag, that'd be more violations of Shabbos on my hands. So I wouldn't want to do that. But anyway, he says, so not only are you not being mezakis around, or you give them an opportunity to perform a mitzvah, but you're causing them to violate invoking God's name unnecessarily. And one's going to be in violation of the prohibition of causing fellow Jews to stumble over a sin. Chas v'shalom. So he says, not only for, even if they don't erase it, if they keep it and they don't say the bracha when they're supposed to, then instead of causing them to do a mitzvah, you're actually causing them to do an avera. So he says, in the last paragraph, you know what? There's other things you could send to them for fundraising. I don't know, send them a grape juice.
Maybe for the kennel stakeholders.
Yeah, no. There's other shtick we can send. Send them a calendar. Send them a calendar, right? That's what we do, right?
We're sending calendars.
We also send a calendar.
Name on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't. Oh, consult your local Chabad rabbi. I don't. That's
I don't know if they still do, but I was.
that's beyond my pay grade.
The idea that they were printed.
Baruch Hashem, our local Chabad rabbi is a big Talmid Chacham, so you can ask him, and I'm sure there's an explanation for it.
I don't think they do it anymore.
All right. In our next year, my friends, right, in the next episode, we will finally address the scenario of, can you give tefillin to someone who's in the hospital, but it's a hospital with contagious diseases that they burn anything that goes in, gets incinerated. Can you give him the tefillin? And this will build upon our discussion of indirect destruction of Hashem's name and burning. So we'll cover that next time, God willing. Thank you all for coming, and wishing you a great week. God willing, Medrash Rabbah is on for Wednesday. Yes, Abby. Have a good night, everyone. Take care. Thanks for coming.